I want to go back in time for a moment, back to 1972. The FBI began investigating a number of rental apartments in New York City that were allegedly turning away black applicants. FBI records include multiple interviews describing racial discrimination, with one ex-doorman saying he was told if a black person inquired about an apartment for rent, I should tell him that the rent was twice as much as it really was in order that he could not afford the apartment. The following year, the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division filed a lawsuit against the building's management company for violating the Fair Housing Act and the Civil Rights Act. The suit was settled 2 years later, without the defendants admitting any wrongdoing. Who were those defendants? Fred and Donald Trump. For 50 years now, Donald Trump has been the subject of legal scrutiny, investigated and sued multiple times over, often relating to his real estate businesses. And even if he's not being accused of something illegal per se, he's been accused of, let's say, loose ethics. Remember this moment from a 2016 presidential debate.
Or maybe he doesn't want the American people, all of you watching tonight, to know that he's paid nothing in federal taxes, because the only years that anybody's ever seen were a couple of years when he had to turn them over to state authorities when he was trying to get a casino license, and they showed he didn't pay any federal income tax. So
that makes
if
me
he's
smart.
paid...
Ah, yes. So smart, not at all dodgy. But the fact remains that despite all the accusations and lawsuits, Donald Trump himself has never been indicted for a crime. That the same can't be said for his company. Just this week, a jury found the Trump Organization guilty of all 17 counts against it, including conspiracy, criminal tax fraud, and falsifying business records. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg said, quote, the Trump Corporation got away with a scheme that awarded high-level executives with lavish perks and compensation while intentionally concealing the benefits from the taxing authorities to avoid paying taxes. In addition to the company being fined $1.5 million, CFO Alan Weisselberg will do jail time. But Trump, the man whose name is literally on the company, was not even charged, despite the fact that Weisselberg testified that Trump was the one who signed fraudulent bonus checks in the scheme. In a statement, Trump called the guilty verdict a continuation of the greatest political witch hunt in the history of our country, adding, New York City is a hard place to beat Trump. Of course, as regular viewers of the show know, there's a host of other ongoing investigations against Trump. There's the DOJ probe over classified documents found at his Mar-a-Lago resort home. This week, we learned that lawyers for Trump, who were searching 3 of his properties, found at least 2 new classified documents in a storage unit in Florida. Trump's representatives did not return NBC News' request for comment on that development. Then there's the probe into Trump's role in trying to overturn the 2020 election and the lead up to the Capitol riot. DOJ Special Counsel Jack Smith sent subpoenas to local elections officials in 3 key swing states, asking them to turn over any and all communications with the former president or his campaign. Meanwhile, the chairman of the January 6th committee says he expects to make criminal referrals later this month when the panel releases its final report. We don't know yet who the targets of those referrals may be, but even if Trump is among them, will Attorney General Merrick Garland or Special Counsel Jack Smith do anything about it? Sure, these legal threats are serious, but I cannot help but worry that after decades of evading consequence after consequence, Teflon Don will slip through the cracks once again. Joining me now to discuss this are 2 MSNBC contributors who are also co-hosts of the Sisters-in-Law podcast. Jill Wine-Banks was an assistant Watergate special prosecutor. And we also have former U.S. Attorney Joyce Vance. Thank you both for being here. Jill, let me start with you. Donald Trump was not a defendant in this Trump Organization fraud case, but his name came up repeatedly throughout the trial. A prosecutor said in the closing statements that Trump, quote, knew exactly what was going on. So how on earth did he not get charged in connection to this case?
Well, that is such a good question. But in a traditional way, when a corporation is indicted, it is the corporation that is indicted. The personal benefit to Weisselberg is why he was personally indicted and why he pled guilty. His testimony was not as forthcoming as I think the plea deal should have and could have demanded. I hope he won't get full credit for his testimony because he went out of his way to help his former boss. Actually, not even his former boss, I understand it. He is still working at the Trump Organization. I think, though, the cumulative effect and the naming of individual number 1 once again, just like in the Stormy Daniels case, is getting to the point where Donald Trump will suffer the consequences much more than a $1.6 million penalty, much more like the New York Attorney General's case, which could end the Trump Organization completely, and the many cases pending that could lead to criminal guilt and a verdict by a jury.
Joyce, am I wrong to wonder why on earth Trump wasn't charged in relation to this Trump Org case? It is something a lot of people are wondering.
It's a valid question, and it was something that was hotly debated at that point in time, Mehdi. You'll require that two people on brand new Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg's staff actually resigned when he made the decision. We don't know for certain what it came down to, but typically these issues involve whether prosecutors believe they have sufficient evidence to convince a jury beyond a reasonable doubt. And it's easy when we look at the evidence, I know I'm guilty of this sometimes too, of looking at the evidence and saying, well, that's overwhelming. But as a prosecutor, you have to confront the legal standard and the risk of losing your case on appeal. You want to keep going until you have as much evidence as possible. And so I think the more interesting question here is, after what happened in this trial, might we see the Manhattan DA reconsider that earlier decision and decide to go after Trump now?
And Joyce, it's not just the Manhattan DA. You've also got the civil suit led by AG Letitia James, also over Trump's business dealings, widespread fraud claims, at the Trump Org. How much might the guilty verdict, Joyce, in the Allen Weisselberg case affect Tish James's civil suit?
So none of these issues are directly related, but certainly they create a little bit of momentum. It's interesting to note that Alvin Bragg used to work for Tish James. He has just hired Matthew Colangelo, someone else who worked for Tish James, running, in essence, her Trump portfolio. It's tough to believe that they're not remaining aligned. And as Jill says, and it's a serious threat in the civil case, there are very serious sanctions that could be imposed against the corporation. We sometimes call that the corporate death penalty. She has not asked for that ultimate sanction, but nonetheless very severe restrictions. What sticks in my mind, though, after the conviction of Weisselberg and the Trump Organization is, where is the federal government in terms of prosecuting criminal tax violations? When you cheat, when you violate the law on your state taxes, very often there's a parallel federal violation. It looks that way here, and it will be interesting to see whether there's any sort of federal move in this regard.
It will be. And Jill, just shifting gears a bit, sources tell NBC News the January 6th committee will release its final report the week before Christmas, and they plan to issue criminal referrals to the Justice Department based on their report. If you had to guess, who are the most likely targets of any referrals? Surely Trump has to be considered to be among them.
I think you are absolutely right, Mehdi. Trump is number one on that list. But I think you can see that there are many of his supporters and aides who will also be named in that. And it won't be just for either perjury or obstruction of Congress. And I think we're getting to the point now where some of what's going on, we're back to the Watergate era of the cover-up is worse than the crime, because what's going on has been a prolonged cover-up of the actions before January 6th, after January 6th, the Mar-a-Lago. The cover-up is now really getting to the point where the cumulative effect may be that the Republican Party and even the most loyal Trump supporters are going, he's really bad. We can't keep this up. Because there's just, every time he says, it's everything, you have everything. Well, now 2 more documents have showed up in a new location that had not been identified before. And he's like a mob boss. He didn't sign the affidavit saying, I did a complete search. He made sure a lawyer did that. That lawyer should be ashamed. And I think his new lawyers have to be worried they can't believe anything that he says.
You'll be shocked to hear that lawyer is not ashamed. Last quick question to you, Joyce. DOJ Special Counsel Jack Smith just issued subpoenas to key local election officials in several swing states related to President Trump's then efforts to overturn the 2020 election. The subpoena suggests Smith is looking into the fake elector scheme. What might he be looking for new?
Well, these subpoenas call for information that relate directly to communications between state officials in 4 states where this state elector scam was in play and the Trump campaign. There were earlier subpoenas sent out to a lot of folks in connection with this scam. This looks to me like Smith is putting a fine point on it, trying to compile some more specific evidence. It's also a very interesting move when you think about the complexity and the scope of the investigation he's taken over as the new special counsel. The Mar-a-Lago part of that case is widely perceived as the easier part of the case to go ahead, the more straight-line sort of investigation.
Yes.
So it's great to see that he can chew gum and walk at the same time, right? Proceeding on both aspects of the case simultaneously so early in his tenure.